You Were Never Really Here is a wonderfully insane film by director Lynne Ramsay, who also wrote the screenplay from an adaptation of a book, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix in one of his, in my opinion, best performances. The film is a little bit older. It originally appeared at Cannes in 2017, where Joaquin would win the Best Actor award at that film festival, and it had its wide release in 2018. It is currently available on Amazon Prime right now, and it's a very good film. It is insane in the fact that it is kind of crazy in terms of its depiction of things, because it's very much a vehicle for Joaquin Phoenix. It focuses on him. His name is Joe in the film, and he is a veteran, which it kind of has a little bit of flashbacks and scenes that kind of show him being a veteran, and you kind of get that there, but it's not really explicitly stated. But in some of the other flashbacks, you can see that he had a really rough childhood in terms of he had an abusive father, and part of that led to him having these very suicidal tendencies. And in a lot of these shots or these flashbacks or scenes where it'll cut to, you see him with like a bag over his head or something covering his head, kind of struggling to breathe, to create that sense of urgency or whatever that you would feel when you're suffocating yourself or asphyxiating yourself. And it kind of leads into his mind at the time. What he is he is basically a rescuer of trafficked women or trafficked girls. And the film opens with him rescuing a girl. You don't really see a lot about it, but he rescues this girl, takes her to a motel, meets somebody, and then he leaves. On his way back, he sees the son of kind of a fixer or one of his handler's men that, relays stuff to him, goods, supplies, and also kind of, serves as a buffer between him. And then once he meets his handler, he tells him he has to, that Angel might be a potential security risk, and, we don't need to use him anymore, or we need to avoid him just in case. And then from there, Joaquin goes to his house, and you see that he's still living in his childhood home with his elderly mother, who he is taking care of. And there's a couple scenes where you can see that the age of his mother is kind of trying on him. He's obviously a little bit older, and he's still taking care of her. And there's a couple cute scenes where he has like a knife, and he's like, I'm going to stab you, mother. But he doesn't. He loves his mother. She floods the bathroom out, and he kind of joyfully scolds her. He's like, Mom, what'd you do? Just turn it off. Just turn it off. But he then helps her out, takes her downstairs, or takes her to bed. And then he goes in and he gets down on his hands and knees, and he cleans the bathroom of all the water, soap, and everything. So you can see he's very doting in this aspect. And as part of these flashbacks, you can tell that his mother was kind of his protector in essence. Basically, his abusive father really focused everything on his mother, and a lot of that may be the problems that she's having now. She's older and she's starting to slip a little bit, but Joaquin is taking care of his mother regardless. He loves her with all of his heart. She's his one constant in life. So he goes to his handler to get a new job, and what it is for a state senator out of New York, and the state senator, his daughter is being trafficked. And so Joaquin takes the job. The guy says, make sure you take care of them, get rid of them. And he says, okay. So he goes, collects the supplies, and kind of stakes out and finds this brothel that's set up in kind of a ritzy area of New York, where you can see some high society type folks going in and out. And once he finds the time to make his move, he goes in with a hammer and just starts pop, 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 knocking everybody out that's in there. He finds the girl, he rescues her, takes her out, tells her it's okay. You kind of have a little cute moment while they're waiting. You want a soda? No, I'm fine. Are you sure? I got a couple different types here. If you want soda, you can have it. She's like, no, I'm fine. So Joaquin goes, he takes her to the motel, and while they're waiting for the motel, they see on the TV a news report that the girl's father, the state senator, has committed suicide by jumping off of a building. Shortly after that, there's a knock on the door, and the manager of the motel opens the door and is then shot in the back of the head. Blood shoots on Joaquin, and he's just shocked there, and it's two police officers. They come into the room. One of them grabs the girl. The other one puts a gun on Joaquin's head and is about to kill him. After the other one leaves, he's sitting there getting ready to shoot him. Joaquin moves, is able to knock him down, takes the gun from him, ends up killing the guy. So from there, Joaquin knows that the jig is up in essence, and he has to go get back to his mother's house. But he's got to track down his handler to see if they found anything, because how would they know where the rendezvous point was if they didn't find out his handler? So he goes to his handler's place and sees that, of course, he's already been killed at this point. And then Angel and his son are also killed as well because they did know Joaquin's character. They know where he lived. And then Joaquin realizes his mother's in danger. So he goes back to his mother's house and ends up sneaking in, finds his mother dead in her bed. They put a pillow over, shot her through the pillow. So it appeared to be a quicker, more merciful death than what the other person, his handler, had, because all of his fingers were missing. Looks like his nails had been ripped off. He'd obviously been tortured. And they didn't do that to his mother. And that was kind of a little bit better in terms of the violence that's in this film. But Joaquin is able to sneak down the stairs. He shoots both of the officers, ends up killing one of them, and critically wounds the other one. And then he goes down there. He kind of slaps him around a little bit, talks to him. Did you kill my mother? You kill my mother? Was it you who killed my mother? Who knows? Who knows? And one of the last things this guy does is, with his dying breath, he tells Joaquin that it was the governor of New York is the one who is behind it. He's the one that was using the brothel, and he's trying to cover up the killings because him and some of his friends were the ones that were partaking in this. And also that the governor's favorite was this girl, the state senator's daughter. She's a cute little blonde-haired girl, real skinny, real petite, and has this kind of just ghastly, ghostly image to her, or visage to her, because of the horror she's been through. Obviously, she was sex trafficked, so she's broken. Well, so Joaquin, after the guy dies, he takes his mother's body and goes out to a river somewhere in the middle of nowhere, puts a bunch of rocks in his pocket, walks out with his mother into this river lake area, and starts to sink down. As he's sinking down, you get a very pretty shot where it's the water and he's kind of angelic as he's fallen, and then he sees this beautiful image, and it's the girl from before that he had rescued, who was retaken by the governor's men, and she's calling out to him in essence. So Joaquin takes the rocks out of his pockets, come back up, and now his mission is set. He's going to rescue this girl. So he ends up finding some of the governor's men, following them and the governor to, I guess, maybe the governor's mansion or some house out in the woods, so to speak. It's a rather large house, kind of a country house kind of deal. So he gets there, picks his time and his lucky hammer, and he just goes through there, just knocking out everybody. Takes out all the guards and gets to the bedroom where the Governor Williams is supposed to be at, and he sees him dead on the floor with his throat slit, blood everywhere. From there, he makes his way back through the house and finds the girl at the kitchen table with the bloody razor sitting next to her, and she's eating. She seems to be a little bit more at peace, but she's still kind of stone-faced, just sitting there, eating the food and stuff. So Joaquin gets her, and they leave and end up at a diner where they start to have some food, and the little girl walks off, and then Joaquin kind of sits there, looks at it for himself for a second, pulls out a gun, blows his head off, his head falls down, and then, blood starts to pool out everywhere on the table. And at that moment, you see nobody else seems to, has witnessed that he just blew his head off, or the blood or everything. They're just all eating, happy, joyful and everything. And even the waitress walks up, slaps down the ticket with the bill and everything on it, and proceeds to walk away. At that moment, the little girl comes back, kind of taps on the table. Joaquin wakes up, and, lo and behold, he was just passed out. So the little girl looks at him and is like, "It's a beautiful day." And he kind of hesitates. "Yeah, it is." And then that's the end of the film. It's a very tightly written film. It's approximately 85 minutes long. It doesn't really miss a beat. There's a lot of moments where there's not any dialogue. It's just Joaquin either sitting there looking kind of remorseful, or kind of you can struggling with his inner demons in terms of his mind, along with the flashbacks of obviously something happened in the war or when he was in the military. And you kind of get what it was, is that there was a female child that he helped out, gave a candy bar, and then somebody walks up, kills that little girl, steals the little girl's candy bar, and runs off. And that's kind of triggered Joaquin's protective senses towards girls. And it is kind of illusionary towards Taxi Driver. It is not nearly as wordy as Taxi Driver, nor as long, as it more focuses on kind of the damage aspect of someone's personality and how they cope with it. And one of his things is he coped with it by not committing suicide, by creating this kind of sense where he puts the bag over his head, kind of asphyxiates himself, that he can kind of finally get some peace out of life without actually committing suicide. It's a very good film. It is definitely violent. It's not nearly as violent as you would expect because a lot of the violence is not shown on camera in a way. Basically, when he's going around knocking all these people out with hammers, you only see him hit a few of them. And some of the shots when you see him hit them is like a security cam footage, or it's just from a distance and they fall down. It's not really a blood, gore, shoot 'em up kind of film. It's more of kind of a slow burn and then quick rapid succession where he just goes, straight soldier on these people, just taking them out, doing what he feels is right in terms of trying to protect these children. It's definitely a film I would recommend. It's not for children, and it is not for someone who is faint of heart or weak of stomach in certain areas, because the source material is pretty graphic. It is something, obviously you're dealing with trafficked children, and then the fact that they're broken, and also a vigilante aspect. But it's good. Once you can look past that, if you don't have any problems with that, it's a very good film. Like I said, he won an award at Cannes for Best Actor of that year, and I could see it was well deserved. Glad to see he got his Golden Globe Award for The Joker. That also is probably well deserved for Joaquin. I would absolutely recommend this, and if you get a chance, go over to Amazon Prime. That's where it is available. And again, it's only like 89 minutes, so it's not going to take you very long to watch it. But it is a little bit, or it could be considered a little bit pretentious, because it is more artsy in terms of a lot of the sound design is more or less bringing in elements of outside. The soundtrack has some gargly kind of music and things like that. So it doesn't give you a traditional or typical straightforward narrative with, perfect dialogue where you can hear every word that's said, with kind of undertone music and stuff like that, or background music that's going. It just does its own thing, and I think it did it very well in this instance. Thank you.